So we've been to Egypt, for like 4 weeks. You know what, we had a proper boss holiday. It was sound, it was proper sound. We're talking about all kinds of this, that. And you know, like when you take a step back and you have a little look around, you think, you know what, everything's sound in my life, everything's like proper sound, you know, what could go wrong? And you know, you're happy and everyone's like there for you. And you know, our kid, he's flying, he's down south, he's just smashing that bar, working with them in it, you know what I mean? So, you know, what have we got left? Ends up on the bevies, and we're due home, we're going home today, right? So it's the last day on the holiday, and you know, we're just talking, and you can have pressure on you, and you know, you start like not like paying attention to your bird and all that, and your bird can pick up on it and all that, and you can start thinking, and it's just a wrong idea, do you know what I mean? You can start getting like angry with it, or you know, you've got no time for me, and you never do this with me, and you know, we used to do this, we used to do that, and yeah, I know, but things have changed since when I met you. You know, when I met you, I was working, I was a normal worker. Yeah, I had loads of time when I finished work, and then your dad got me in his like grip, and then all this has gone on, and then you know, our kids got involved, and I've been away, and do you know what I mean? It changes a man, it changes who you are as a person, so there's no way I can still be the same person who I was when I first met her. So she understands that, because she's not a silly girl, you know, she's good, she's proper good to me, you know what I mean? She loves the bones of me, and I have the bones of her, you know, it's just one of them things where things change and people change, and you know, we evolve, or we could even de-evolve. It just depends on how it goes. Do you get what I mean? Now, I didn't take no limo with me to Egypt, so I've been off the limo for 4 weeks. And people could be like, well, what, is that you done with it now? No, I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home, because it's the first thing we're going to do. I've got a quarter just stashed, and I'm just ready to roll with it, you know what I mean? So flying, we end up getting on a flight, and you know, we're on a flight for a few hours, and then we get back, and I'm having bevies on the plane. And now the dad, he said he was going to grab us from the airport, but he's phoned me, he sent me texts, so when I've got off the airplane at the airport, and all the texts have come through, can't pick it up, you have to get a taxi and all that. I'm like, oh, sound, no. So I goes outside, there's a taxi there, and I'm like, yeah, hey mate, what's that? He's like, yeah, sound, they go ahead, sound. Close all that stuff in and all that, and we're in the taxi, and you know what, I can't wait to get home, because, you know, sometimes when you've been away for that long, and you know, it is good and all that, but you just can't wait to get home, do you know what I mean? You can't wait to just be in your own space, and get in your own bed, and be around your own people. So, we're flying, we're having a laugh, and you know, it's all good, it's all fun, and we're all just happy. So we get out the taxi, right, and got all the suitcase and getting out the bag and all that. And do you know what, I can't, you know, there's no place like home, you know what I mean? So taxi driver bears with the suitcase, walks back, so goes and busts me in the outhouse and all that. And he's like, I'm going to see my mum. I'm like, go on, sound, I'll be in a minute. She's like, all right, sound. So he goes in to see her mum. I'm just putting everything away. I'm not emptying them all that. Fuck that, man. Yeah. I'll just leave them until tomorrow so she can do that. So goes in, yeah, grabs the ending. Ooh, what's that? And I thought, you know what, bite the knot off. It's the sickest knife you've ever had in your life. And I'm talking like 0.7 up each nostril. So it ties the bag, and thought, I'll bring that in with me, yeah. So I thought I wonder where Grandad is, I wonder where Pops is, right? Because I haven't seen Pops for ages. And normally he phones, but he hasn't phoned me while I've been an idiot, which is a bit weird. Normally he sends me like weird texts, like he's proper weird but funny. Like you wouldn't think how old he was if like you didn't know him and you just seen the text off him. Like he letters you and that. Do you know what I mean? He proper letters you and that. So I thought, where is he? So I thought, it'll be a bit late for him, he'll probably be in bed now. So it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, do you know what I mean? So I goes in the big house in the mansion, and I walks in and talks to the ma. She's like, how was it? It was good, yeah, this, that, and you know, Lindsay's all made. So the ma wants Lindsay for something, because she hasn't seen her for a month. So she's gone like in the, like where the living room is. This gaff is massive, listen to me. This gaff is massive. We wouldn't even know who's in the house. So they've just gone on a wander somewhere. They're probably in the bar or the back bar or wherever they are. So, you know, I'm not going to get in. I'll just go and find Grandad. So I said, where's Grandad? Like, he's upstairs and he's asleep. It's like, I don't think so. I don't know, I haven't sing him for a bit. So I thought, you know what, I'll sneak on him, and I'll just scare the shit out of him. So I'm keeping up the stairs. So he gets to his door's a little bit open. So as I look in his room, right, he's sitting at his table. Now, what he normally does, right, he has these like little moments where he'll reflect on his life, and like, you know, all his mates who've died, and all like his people in his regiment, and all, you know, all his army mates and all that. Now, imagine the shit he's been through, do you know what I mean? So he's got all these letters out right now. He's told me about these letters, but I've never actually seen them before. But he has told me off his dad, like his dad was in World War One, you know what I mean? And then, you know, he followed the footsteps and all that. So knocks on the door, I'm like, what's happening, Pops? He's like, that you told me? He's like, yeah, come in, lads. He stands up, shaking my hands, hugging me and all that. I said, what's happening? He's like, what's happening? I said, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just going through a few bits and that. I said, can I sit down? Of course you can, like, because I don't want to, like, pry on his, like, invaders, like, personal space when he's doing what he's doing. No, his dad and all that, they've been dead for years, obviously, so's his man and all that. So he's showing me, and I'm like, what's this, Pops? He's going, these are the letters I told you about. I'm like, yeah. So he passed me one and said, can I read it? He's like, yeah, listen, these letters are dated, like, 1913, right? And they're sent to, like, from the trenches. Listen to me now. And you know the writing is just perfect calligraphy, proper neat, you know, like proper presented. And I'm reading there's pictures, and you know it's his dad sending his mum a letter from the trenches. And when you're reading it, you're just reading the shit that's going on, and you're just like, no way. And it's like you're there. It's like you're in, you know, because you're looking at this paper and you know it's genuine. He's wrote this down in 1913, and I've got it in my hand reading, like, his life at the time. Mate, it was proper heavy, right? So I'm reading that letter, and he's like, you know, hopefully we'll be home soon, the war will be over. And he went to me, have you heard of the Christmas Day truce? I went, nah, what do you mean? He went, well, in 1914, on Christmas Eve to Christmas Day, they had a truce. I went, what do you mean? He went, well, the Germans and the British, me dad and all that, they were in trenches. I went, yeah. He went, and they just started singing all carols. I went, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, sit down. I'm like, yeah. I said, do you want a stripe? He's like, no. He said, I've got some wacky backy there. I'm like, do you want to build a joint? He's like, yeah. He's like, build me one of your joints, lad. I haven't had one of your joints for ages, so I'll just build them the biggest fatty you've ever seen in your life. I mean, the proper fattest joint ever. So I'm like, do you want a whiskey? He's like, go on, lad. So I was just got whiskey, and you know, he's like, do you want one? I'm like, nah, I'm like, I'll have a brandy. He's like, yeah. I said, I've got some Louis X for you. I'm like, go ahead, lad, go ahead, because they Louis X, they just got that all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to them, mate. That's like us with Remy, do you know what I mean? I'm like, go ahead, lad, sound. So I'm on the Louis X, and he's just in there, and we're just having a proper laugh. And now the Mars downstairs with Lindsay, and the dad, God knows where he is. He's just on one somewhere. So I'm sitting there, right, and I'm in his rocking chair, right, and he never knows there's no one sitting in his rocking chair, but he's at the bench, he's like the table with like this little, like, you know, like a little stool thing. So I'm on his rocking chair, right, and I'm like, he's calling me, lad, you're annoying me, stop rocking. I'm like, it's a rocking chair. And he's like, I know, but you're annoying me. I'm like, what do you mean? He calls me, lad, stop rocking. I'm like, I won't. So he gets this, like, door thing, you know, like where he keeps doors open, and just proper, like, shuts me off. I can't even rock no more. It's just a chair. I'm like, all right, sound. So I'm on the Louis, and you know, I'm just filling these bevies, and I'm having a stripe, and he's just blazed this big fat. He's like, do you want some of this? I'm like, go ahead, just a little two whips and that, do you know what I mean? A little two whip, pass it back. And I swear, do you know what? You know, you take a step back and you look at, like, just where you are at the time and what's going on. You know, it was boss, it was like a photographic memory. I'll always remember that, you know what I mean? I fucking love that fella, mate. And he's telling me about this Christmas Day truce, and I'm like, what happens? He's going, yeah, I'll read this letter. Now, he's going off first-hand information. This isn't like a history teacher. This isn't like you're in school getting told something. This is first-hand information from someone who's there. I'm reading it with my own eyes, just like, no way. And what happens is, the English started singing Silent Night, right? And the Germans started singing it too. They were in trenches. They were killing each other like 10 minutes ago. So they ended up all singing, and it's like just, they're all like proper sounding it. I said, mate, and I'm like, well, what happened then? He said, well, my dad told me the story, because obviously the letter's not going to tell you everything, but what he's told me as it comes with it is what his dad told him, and I believe him 1,000,000%, right? And I was just like, no way. He said to me, and you know, they were all wary of each other first, and they had like all dead bodies in the trenches, and it was Christmas, so they ended up all singing, and the Germans are singing, and the English are singing, and the next thing some of the English just get out the trenches with their hands up and just walk across no man's land, right? Nothing happens. Next thing the Germans get up, stand up with their arms up, and they walk across no man's land. Mate, listen to me. This is World War One. These are at war. These are in the trenches. These are just like the enemy versus the enemy. And it's Christmas, and do you know what? You can just imagine how happy they must have been to just be like, do you know what, let's just all have a time out, right? So they end up playing footy, and they're showing each other the kids, the photographs. They've humanised it. They've humanised the war, do you know what I mean? And, you know, it wasn't an official ceasefire, but what I've got from him and what I was reading, it was just, it made the hair stand up on your neck, just like, you know what, that's humanity, mate. Because, you know, these old people who are all in charge, they're sending young people to die for them. Yeah, old people have an argument and young people have to die for it. Mate, what are you on? You just think you are? You go and fight then, you little rats. These people have got kids. Yeah, so they're all showing the kids and the sharing rations, they're having like, you know, tobacco, little roll-ups and all that together. It must have just been mad and they're playing footy. Right, it's known as the Christmas Day truce, and I'd never heard of it, to be fair, I'd never heard of it, but, oh mate, you know, you read something like that first hand, and then you've got someone who's the fella's son telling you second hand, mate, it's boss, you just know it's 100% legit. And he's showing me stuff, and, you know, he's getting all emotional, right, but listen to me, it doesn't matter how big and hard you are, right, if you're that age, right, and everyone you know is gone, and I mean everyone, obviously his family are, but think about all his mates and the shit they've been through and the times they've had each other's back, and, you know, all the birds he's had in his life and all that. They're all gone. His birds gone. Everyone's gone. So it's like, his life's gone. He's the only person left. Literally, he's the only person left. And I mean, like, if I look at my life now and I think of everyone in it, even all you listen to this now, right, and I live to, like, that age, the odds are no one else will. So you're the only one, aren't you? So you're just in the world on your own, aren't you? But I love him, I'd do anything for him. He's just one of them fellas, right, who you just respect, right? And, you know, he's like, build me another joint, lad. I'm like, already one step ahead, lad, already built him one. I'm like, hasn't you seen that? He's like, me eyesight, lad, it hasn't been the same for years. I'm like, what do you know, lad? I've just got the skins off you. He's like, well, you know, lad, small things. He's mad. So I'm racking stripes up and all that, and, you know, I'm just in the moment. I'm in a boss element. Next thing, Lindsay comes up. She's like, "What's that?" Knocks on the door. I'm like, "What's happening?" She's like, "What's happening?" I said, "What's happening?" So she talks to Grant. Like, Granddad's made up to series all over it. You know, you've got a proper boss bond, right? And she's saying to me, "What are you doing then?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm going to go back in," because we were in the outhouse. You know, when I say the outhouse is like it's like bigger than like a 4-bedroom house, normal one. So it's not really an outhouse. It's just an outhouse compared to the mansion. So that's where we was, because I was on the tag there, weren't I? But I come off the tag, right? I don't know whether I mentioned that, but I did come off the tag anyway. So I'm just like, I don't know. And he's like, "Lad, if you want to go in," I'm like, "I don't want to go in. I'm having the time of my life with you, Pops." I said, "If you want to go to bed," he's like, "I'm not going to bed." He said, "I'm up for a bit." He said, "I got up late and that." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I never got up till the afternoon, mate." I said, "All right, Sam." He's like, "You know," he said, "when you get to my age, time doesn't matter," and all this and all that. And he's just full of proper, like, little one-liners and, you know, bits of advice that are just like, I still think of that now. I still think of that, the things he said to me now, and it still makes sense, you know what I mean? Because when you're younger than that, even if you end up getting to like 40 years old, right, and you bump into someone who's 90, they've lived double your life. They know well more than you. I don't care who you think you are. Obviously, you can have Muppets you've grown up, because, you know, if you're a Muppet, you'll still be a Muppet when you're older. But I mean, people like him, they know everything. Think of the shit he's been through, mate. And, you know, his advice to me is just 100% power. So I'm always listening to him, and I'm always like sponging his information and getting knowledge off him. And he's, you know, "If I was you, lad, I'd do this." And he's always right. He's always right. And he tells you things where you wouldn't have thought of from that perspective. And then when you do think of that perspective, you're like, "You know what, he's proper on it there, he's on it there." And you take it and you're just like, you know what I mean? So anyway, we get on it, it's going on. So Lindsay's got off, she's gone back to the house and all that. She's just like doing whatever. I think she's like unpacking or whatever she's doing, so inside, you know, whatever. So I'm just in here with him, and, you know, we're just having a proper laugh and that. And then next thing, the dad comes in, so the dad comes upstairs, and he's like, "What's happening?" I said, "What's happening?" He jumps up, shakes his hand, he's like, "What's happening, Dad?" Dad's like, "What's happening, son?" You know, all that and all that. So I said, "Yeah, I'll leave you to it a little minute." And I was like, I don't know, it's just, you know what I mean? So I ended up going to the bog and all that, but I went to bog like the other end of the house. So it took me about 10 minutes. So I had a little stripe in the bog and all that. As I'm walking back to Mars there, I said, "What's happening?" She's like, "What's happening?" I did all right with you. She said, "I believe you." I know, like, Mars, like, talk to you, like your mother-in-law or whatever you want to call it, when you talk to you. And she's like, "Oh," she went, "Oh, she had a really good time." I said, "What?" She said, she's like, "No." And she said, she's just like, she forgot how much she loved you, lad. I said, "What's that supposed to mean?" She went, "No, I don't mean like that." She went, "You know, she loves you and all that," but she said that like you rekindled it in the way you was and all that. She's like, "I'm proud of that." So I'm giving her my hug and all that, and we're talking about Pops, and she's like, "Oh, he's sick, you know." I said, "I know." I know. I said, "What's he been like?" She's like, "Well, he's been getting up like normally he used to get up like 7 in the morning and all that. Now he's getting up like 2 in the afternoon, and he's all fatigued, and, you know, do you know what, it breaks my heart even talking about it now, you know. Get on this, right? Just get on this, right? Now, this is going to be heavy, this, you know, this is going to be heavy, this is, you know what? This is freakingly hard to even talk about." Goes back up and with Pops, the tire's bailed, and all, he's gone to bed, and the Mar's gone to bed, and, you know, whatever they're doing, they've gone to bed. So I'm sitting up with him, and he's just telling me about all the things, and he's telling me about his regrets, and just stuff like that. So I'm just taking it all in, right? And it's getting to the point now where, you know, sometimes like you're jet lagged and, you know, it's getting me, it's starting to hit me, I'm starting, I know you've been 11 on that, but when you've got a high tolerance, so it doesn't matter, all that shit, you're just still tired and all that. So I thought, you know what, big fat joint, yeah, little bevy, and then I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna get off, I'm gonna go back to the outhouse, yeah. So he's like proper wide-eyed, mate, and he's just going on, he's just doing this, doing that, right? But I'm starting to, I can feel myself, like, you know, starting to doze off and all that. So I've just smoked this joint, right, and the joint has just absolutely finished me, mate. So fell a kip, right, haven't I? And then I've just woke up, right, and you know when you wake up and you're like, you're not freezing, but you're like, where am I, yeah? So there's a little lamp on that. Now he's flat a kip, right? And I'm like, he's put a blanket on me, that's all being a kip. And I'm thinking, so I looked at the time, and I'm like, no fucking way, it's like 20 to 6 in the morning, but I haven't got nothing to do tomorrow, so I can sleep all day if I want, you know what I mean? Because I'm not going back to work, I'm not doing nothing yet. So I've got a few little days off, because you can't just come back off holiday and go to work the next day. Fuck that, mate, mad that, yeah. So anyway, he gets off, goes back in the outhouse and that. So Lindsay's in bed, so creeps in, trying to wake her up, and I ended up just waking her up anyway, do you know what I mean? I was just a noisy person. I just woke up on my halfway, like, do you know what I mean? She's like, what time is it? She's like, what time is it? I said, it's bells. She's like, yeah, she's like, where's Pop? She said, he's a kip. She's like, yeah, this is a kip. She said, he's got a blanket on me, just left me. She's like, I'm like, I said, I'm fucking freezing. I said, I woke up like, on a rocking chair, that doesn't even rock. She's like, what do you mean? She said, he put like the door stop in the rocking chair, so she's laughing her head out. She's like, how's he even let you sit on that? I'm like, I don't know. I said, but I got to sit on it, but I wasn't allowed to rock on it. That's funny now, like, it's funny now, but wait till you get on this, right? So anyway, gets up, goes to sleep and all that, and you know what, I'm just in a boss skip and all that, and I felt like I just closed my eyes for like 2 minutes, right? And I just heard Lindsay like crying and all that, and I'm like, wow, what's happening there? So I jumped up, she's standing there, and she's dressed and all that, so I've obviously been a kid, and she's got up and been up and about and all that, so I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? She's like, you need to come in here. You need to come in. I'm like, what do you mean? Mate, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been a kid for hours. As I walks in, the man, they're looking at me, and the dad's there, and you know, and you're just like, what's happening here? And the dad's going, what? I'm like, well, he's like, the ambulance was way. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, Pops, mate. He said, me dad, innit? And he said, what? He's alright, he fell, something like that. And he's just looking at me like that, and you know, like when someone just looks at you, right, and you just know that it can't be none other than he died, mate. And I'm like, no way. Mate walks up in his room and he's dead, mate. Pops is dead, mate. Just died overnight or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, was only with him a few hours ago. Do you know, I was like, what? And he says, Dad's just like, come here, lad. And I'm looking at Dad, I'm just standing there. I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, no way. Do you know, like, it's, what the fuck's happened there? So then the ambulance comes and all that, and then the cordon and all that coming, and just getting wheeled out, and I was like, what the fuck's happening here? So I'm like, what's going to happen now, mate? He's like, we're going to have to take him, and you know, this, that, and he'll be able to come home in a few days. And I'm like, well, can I come? He's like, what for, mate? So I saying, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, don't know. Lindsay's crying her eyes out, the man's crying her eyes out, and me and the dad like, dying to cry, but we're trying to hold it back, so and next thing, mate, I was just got fucking tears streaming down my face, right? I'm just like, what the fuck's happened there? So I'm like, Dad's like, you alright? I'm like, not really, you alright? He's like, nah, not really. He said, but you know, I was expecting. I was like, yeah, but lad, I was with him all night. And he's like, I know you was, mate, I know you was. And you know, he's probably just like found peace in whatever he was on about. I was just like, mate, it's like it hit you, but like, not properly, do you know what I mean? And he just watched him get wheeled out, and that's the last time he's ever going to be in the house again. All the stuff's just in his room, and what's happened there? Like, all the letters are still out, and what we mate, I was talking to you a few hours ago. I'm fucking wounded. I am fucking wounded, mate. So walks back to the house, right? It just hit me. I'm just like, no way. Shit. So next thing our kid phones me, right, just out of the blue, and as the phone, he's like, what time, lad? And I'm like, all dead lad. And I'm like, lad. He's going, what time? So he's going to me, fuck off, what? I'm like, he's going to me, lad. And I'm like, what happened? I said, I don't know, lad. I said, he fucking just died of his kip or something, lad. So I'm telling him about everything that went on last night and all this and that, and he's wounded, mate. He's going, lad, I'm coming back. I'm like, yeah. I said, come back, lad. He's like, go on, I'll be back later on. I'm like, come on, sound. So he goes in, right, and the dad's like, he's got a bevy out, and he's got me a bevy, and then the man's there, and then the dad just bursts out laughing. But it's like, it's weird. It's like, It was proper weird. So I've like started laughing just because he's laughing, but I don't even know what the fuck we're laughing at. And the guys are going, listen lad, he's had a proper boss in, and he's like, you know, he's done everything, he's done this, he's done that, you know, he's always been there, you know, he's the head of the family, and I'm like, yeah, he's going, it is. He said, you know, to be fair lad, if you think about it, wasn't a bad way to go, was it? You know, all his mates in the war, and they've just been blown apart, and lad, he died happy in the own house, not just in bed. Proper heavy, you know, proper heavy. Swear to you, proper heavy, you know, just like, it's bad that. And you just don't even know what to say, do you know what I mean? And all these young people and all that, fucking doesn't mean nonsense, does it, do you know what I mean? Pops is gone, man. So I said to Lindsay, and he's like, yeah, do you want to come in the house? I'm like, come on. So she's just fucking crying her eyes. I was like, she's making me cry. Everyone's just like, So what I mean? So I just gotta fucking pull yourself together, haven't you? And get on with it, haven't you? But I'm glad though, do you know what I'm glad? I'm glad that I got to see him one last time. And I'm glad that we had that night, right? Because don't think about it, I got home on a holiday. He died the next day, he died the next morning, like overnight. So imagine it would have been like an extra day, or it would have been a different time of day, I wouldn't have got to see him, you know what I mean? So I've got to be thankful for that. So I'm talking to Lindsay, and I'm like, listen, we were lucky there, you know. She's like, I know. I said, think about that. She's like, So we're like, you know, it's not looking on the bright side of it, but still shit in it, do you know what I mean? Still proper shit in it. You know, that's it, he's gone, mate, and, you know, I didn't really know him, like how they all knew him, but I knew him for years, and, you know, he was always proper sound, and even when I was in jail and all that, he was just proper sound, and, you know, he took that secret to the grave about me and the son, didn't he? You've got to respect the man, so do you know what? Hats off to him, yeah. Rest in peace, Pops. Rest in peace, lad. And you know what? Honest to God, even to this day, there's not a day that goes past where I don't think about something he said to me, or some sort of knowledge he's dropped on me, or some sort of advice he's given me, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, let's just say, he was like my granddad, yeah? He was like my granddad, do you know what I'm saying? He was like my granddad, yeah? So it's just one of them things where, you know, you've got to celebrate the fact that you knew him, and, you know, he was there for it, and, you know what I mean, and, you know, he gave you the morals you've got, and he gave you the traits you've got, and like, he learned how to fight when you were a kid, you know, he learned how to box, proper heavy fella, you know, and that's like, it's just, you know, even like, they say times are healing that, but it's not though, is it really? It is, but it's not, is it? It gets easier, but it doesn't get better, does it? And, you know, we all die, and especially, like, you know, the older generations, like 2 generations above you, they're gonna die before you, aren't you? Unless you've had a bit of bad luck, or you've had an accident or something like that. So, you know, you can't really start blaming nowadays, that, because, you know, think about it. He survived what most people didn't. He survived what none of us now listening to this would. Yeah, we probably wouldn't even be up for it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just comforting Lindsay, and, you know, we're sitting on the bed, we're talking all that, and we're just recapping all that, and, you know, I'm trying to make light of it. Do you know what I'm trying to make light of it, you know, as much as you can, because he wouldn't want all us. He'd be like, you firmer pussy, pull yourself together. I'm not even joking, he would. He'd be like, you're absolute divvy, get it together, man up, yeah, man up, this generation, you know, you need to grow a set. And he's right though, do you know what I mean? Because nowadays you've got people running around just think of the difference in their generation to our generation. You know, I don't mean us personally, because some of us are still the same as that generation, make no mistake about it, but most of us aren't, are they? You walk around the streets and that now, and I just always think to myself, imagine the company, imagine this company, yeah, his regiment, his company, just on foot, walking around Liverpool now, looking about, he'd just be like, hey, you messing, what have you done? What have you done to this gaff? This was our gaff. Yeah, the things we did for this gaff, and look what's happened to it. They'd be fuming on us. They'd be proper fuming on us, mate. But, you know, that's it anyway. So, anyway, Lindsay's like, yeah, we're going to have a little drink tonight in the mansion and all that. I said, who's coming? Like, loads of people are coming, right? And it was only Sean knows that, but, you should just see car after car after car after car. And everyone's just, yeah, it was boss, mate. It was proper boss. And later on comes all that. So I've got my head between my legs. I'm just a little bit wounded, you know what I mean? Obviously, but man up, lad. Come on, lad. Man up, yeah. You've got, you know, man up, lad. You already looks after Lindsay. Man up, lad. So I'm just standing tall, do you know what I mean? Chin up, chest out, let's go. Walks to the mansion, just like, what's happening? Everyone, yeah, just high fives, hugs, shakes, everything like that. And it was a boss atmosphere. It wasn't like a bad atmosphere where everyone's crying that. It was just boss, mate. It was boss. And then the Mars had all the pictures out, and, you know, like that, and all set up on this table, and everyone's just walking over, just like looking at it, just like, yeah, he was sick. Look at our granddads and our, You know what I mean? Or our great-granddads, depending on how old you are, listen to this, right? You know, if they were in the war and they were in World War II, right, and they survived, obviously they did survive, because you know if they wouldn't have survived, you wouldn't have been here, your ma wouldn't have been here, yeah, no one would have been here. In certain cases, if you're young enough, your nan wouldn't have been here, do you see what I mean? So it's your granddad, your great-granddad, even your great-great-granddad, depending on how old you are, their strategic and bravery and their just passion and their fight is why you're here now. It's why it's why I'm here. It's why my kids are here. It's why your kids and their kids are going to be here. It's, you know, their bravery and the way they strategically fought and, you know, the survival skills is what created your whole rest of your bloodline from now until your bloodline ends. Yeah, it could be 50 generations from now, and it's all thanks to them, because they were the most threatened. They were the most threatened with their lives on a mass scale. Yeah, 70 million people died in that war. 70 million people from all over the world. There was just depopulation at its finest, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? And, you know, the fact that they pulled through is the fact that you're sitting here now listening to this story. Yeah, think about it. We all forget about that, don't we? We don't forget about it, but some people don't even think about it because they're just like, oh, yeah, and I'm this and I'm that. No, mate, no. You're who you are, right, because of your genes, right? And if you've got genes that lead back to that, that's why you are who you are, yeah? If you're like a fighter or something, it come from somewhere. It's come from somewhere, hasn't it? And you've got to ask yourself, where's it come from? It's come from them genes being evolved from people like him. Do you see what I'm saying? So you know now when Poppy Day comes around and Remembrance Sunday and all that, right? Take a step back and think of it differently a little bit, because some people are like, oh, there's poppies, it means something, mate, and you know, lest we forget Arnhem and all the rest of it, lest we forget, because if they didn't do what they did, then we wouldn't be here now, and if we was here now, it'd be a totally different setup, you know what I mean? We'd all be speaking German, mate, and do you know what I mean? So, you know, they stood on for us, and they were like, in my opinion, they were the last stands before the world just started to turn upside down, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It all just went upside down. It's all gone tits up from there, isn't it? You know, looking from then to now. But anyway, shake it off, dry your eyes, let's get back to the story. So we're all having a good time, and I'm not even on the limo, but I'm thinking, you know what I could do with a stripe here, because why wouldn't I? So where do I go? Goes to the outhouse, grabs some limo, comes back in, and just goes up in Pop's room, right? So I said to the mum and dad, is it alright if I go and sit in his room for it? Like, of course it is, lad. Lindsay's like, do you want to come with you? I said, can I just go on my own? She's like, yeah. And then I said to the dad, I was talking to him last night, I was telling him about everything, and his dad's come, he's got me in the hall, and he's like, listen, lad, he fucking loved you, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I know he did, mate, I know he did, and he treated me like I was as well. He treated me like he was as well. Let's just say he may as well have been, do you get me? So, anyway, walks upstairs, goes up in the room, and it's got a different look to it, do you know what I mean? It's like the fire's gone out the room, yeah? There's souls left the room, and it's just like, bleh. So I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, do you know what? I had a stripe and all that, this one's for you, Pop's little Louis X, and you know, I've poured my whiskey, and the whiskey just never got drank, did it? Do you know what I mean? The whiskey just never got drank. So as I finished doing what I'm doing, you know, I've had a little cry and a slipe, got in this chair, and I didn't even rock the chair, just out of respect. So anyway, there's that gone, there's him gone, let's move forward. So gets off, says to Lindsay, I'm going to go back in the house now, and in the outhouse, she's like, yeah, I'm going to come with you, because it's getting late now, do you mean? People are starting to drop off, some people are staying, some people can't drive, this, that, taxis getting phone, cars everywhere, goes in the outhouse, son with Lindsay, and Lindsay's like, no, what, I'm proper proud of you, you know. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, lad, she said, I understand. And she just started like telling me things that she's never really said to me before, do you know what I mean? And I made up with it, lads, and I'm like, you know what, I said, I'm happy about that, you're saying, lads, honestly, it's like the things you've done for me, and, you know, you didn't have to, and, you know, the way it all started, and, you know, when I first met you, she went, and then you come in the house, and then my brother started on you, and he ends up fucking wasting him, and I'm like, yeah, rest his soul, but he hasn't thinking, a little rat, so she's like, oh, I don't know, so it must be hard for her, though, as well, so, you know, like, her son, her brother's gone night, you know, think about it, his son's gone night, and that was my fault, but it wasn't really, because it was me or him, and you all know that, and that's why the granddad took that to the grave, because he fucking knew quite well it was me or him. Just see what I mean? He's the one who put me on it. Do you get me? He put me on it. I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for him. They would have stolen on me and would have done me, and that's that. So next thing, our kid phones him, I'm like, where have you been? He's like, oh, lads, I missed it. I'm like, lad, it's about 4 bells in the morning. He's like, oh. I said, where are you? Lad, I'm about 10 minutes away. I'm like, oh. I said, yeah, go on, fly down then. So I said, our kid's here now. She's like, is he yet? So I said, yeah, let's just stay up, snap out of it. She's like, all right. So I poured a little brandish myself, had a little snipe and that. And then our kid turns up, he comes in, he's going, fucking hell, lad. He said, lad. I said, lad, there was well more people here before. He's like, come in the house with me, lads. I said, why? He went, ah. I said, shut up, you tit. I said, lad, your family as well. So he's like, Dad, just come in with me. So Lindsay's like, yeah, I'm going to have a little tidy up in here because the house was a bit wrecked, you know what I mean? So I said, yeah, you tidy up, I'll be back in about half an hour. And now she's like, all right, son. Walks in, and then he sees the dad, and the dad was like, after our kids, what's happening, mate? All made up. And I'm introducing them to people because he doesn't really know everyone, you know what I mean? So I'm introducing people. And he's going, oh, lad, I can't believe I missed it. I'm like, no, because our kid loved him as well, and he loved our kid. He's seen fire in us, you know what I mean? He just, you know, we called us the terrible twos and that. He's the terrible twos, lad, you know. If I would have been in the trenches with you, lad, oh, it would have been better days and all this and all that, you know, like just bigging us up and all that, like he's proud of us and all that. So me and our kids just like talking, and we goes up in the room now, and our kid's like, he said exactly the same thing as me. He's like, ah, lad, it just looks different in this room now, doesn't it? And I'm like, doesn't it, lad? I said, like the fire's gone out, isn't it? He's like, yeah, I know, he's going, lad, but you know what I mean? And our kid's like, he's hugging me and all that, and like, not like that, but he's my brother, do you know what I mean? He knows me better than anyone, he knows me more than anyone ever will. Do you know what I mean? He knows that I'm all front and, you know, behind the scenes, and, you know, I'm not like a soft lad, but I've got art, do you know what I mean? I've got art, and I like people that care for people, and, you know, I'll show respect to everyone unless you don't fucking show it to me. So it's like a different setup, you know, what you see on the outside, rah, 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 bam, 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 night, this, that. There's two sides to every person, do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how big you are or how big you think you are. There's another side here where only 1 or 2 people in the whole world and your whole life will ever know. Yeah, your ma and your brother. Yeah, maybe not even your dad, just your ma and your closest sibling. They're the people who know you really. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I said to that kid, he's staying tonight? He's like, yeah. I said, all right, and so anyway, he goes back into the outhouse and all that. I've been in there for about an hour, minute and all that. And it's time to go now, the house is fucking wrecked. So the dad's got all the cleaners there just on work and night. You should have seen how many staff he had on. It's a fucking massive gaff, this, you know. So he goes into the outhouse and all that, kid's like, just like a quiet settle one. So Lindsay's like, yeah, I'm going to leave you two to it. I'm like, all right, go on. So she's just gone to bed, and just me and our kid are sitting there, you know, on the bevies and all that, and all this and all that. Now, our kid doesn't drink or nothing, does he? He's just like teetotal, but he's like, you know what, I give you them brandies. I'm like, fuck off, lad. He's going, nah, lad. He said, you know, let's raise a glass to the pops, lad. I'm like, go on, sir. So next thing, our kid's bevied, and like, I haven't seen him bevy for years, but listen, he's the funniest kid ever. And he's all the sad parts have gone now. And now he's like, right, so what are we going to do, lads, about this part? I'm just like, fucking hell, lad. I said, I don't know. He's going, when's the funeral? I said, I don't know, lad. I said, it'll probably be in about a week or something like that. I said, they've got to bring him home first. He's like, yeah. He said, when they bring him home? I said, I don't know, mate. I said, but they probably bring him home for a few days, won't he, till everyone's like, say the farewells to him? Because that's what they normally do. And he's like, yeah. He said, have we got flags for him? And I said, lad, yeah. He said, he's got his own flags, lad. I said, he's got flags in the drawer. He's like, has he? I said, yeah. So anyway, he ends up just calling the night and that. See you later, lad. He's got in the spare room. I'm just like, fucking not to bed today. Gets up in the morning, all that. And you know what? The birds were singing. It was proper sunny. I just woke up, and you know, like normally when you wake up and you're half cut, I just woke up 100% normal. And I got up and thought, wow, what time's it? It was about 10:30 in the morning, right? And it was just proper. It was like the sun just shone on us, mate. You know what I mean? It was fucking lovely day. Gets up, gets showered, gets changed. That kid gets showered, gets changed, and all that. Goes in the mansion, that dad's there and all that. The house was fucking polished. Them cleaners must have just been on overtime. And I mean, like, all the floors polished and everything. How's that recovery rate just that good? House is absolutely gleaming. Half the cars are gone where people who stayed, they've got off early and all that. Goes in. So as it walks in, the dad's like, yeah, we've got all the flags and that. And it was just what we were talking about the night before, isn't it? Goes in and we go upstairs to Pop's room, right? And he's got all these medals just lined up on the bed, all flags, you know what I mean? The para flag and all that. And I'm just like, yeah. I said, what's happening with the funeral? He said, I'm not going to find out until tomorrow, mate. I said, all right, sir. So anyway, the medical exams come back. It's just the natural causes, you know what I mean? So no suspicious activity, obviously, do you know what I mean? So all that's sorted. Now we've got that. I think they're going to bring his body home tomorrow, he's saying. I said, Daddy, yeah. He's like, yeah. He said, you're going to be here? I said, of course I'm going to be here, lad. I said, fucking try and stop me, lad. He's like, sound. So I said, what are we going to do about the funeral and all that? And he's like, listen, mate. He said, I'm going to get everyone in funeral cars. He said, I don't want no one in their own cars and that. He said, we're going all out. And I'm like, when he says we're going all out, listen, we are going all out, and I mean all out. And I'm saying to me, you're going to need about 50 cars. He's like, I'm not asked, lad. He said, we'll get 50 cars if that's the point. I'm like, lad, at funeral people even got 50 cars. He's like, lad, I don't care. He's like, I'll rent them, I'll do anything. We'll go to multiple companies. Yeah, sound, mate, sounds. Well, I'll just shut up then, yeah. So he's like getting on the phone and he's doing this, he's doing that. And you know what? He's just boxed it because he's got mates, you know, in high places and all. They'll just drop everything for him, do you know what I mean? So that's it. So we end up sitting there, we end up like having a bevy again because it's like we're having like a little few days off life, do you know what I mean? Just to like try and get over and get everything sorted as you do you know what I mean? So everything's sorted, the diets are all sorted and all that, and the particulars don't really know, but he's like, go and do what you've got to do then, because you had a couple of bits to do anyway. And I was with our kids, so I said to our kids, yeah, do you want to come with me? He's like, yeah. So we jumps in the car and we goes and just like, what we've got to do, a few little bits and bobs here and there, do you know what I mean? Our kid goes to me, we're going to have some security at this funeral, you know. I said, you know what, lad? I said, I was half thinking that. He went, well, I'm bringing a thing of you. I'm thinking, fucking hell, man, I thought, obviously we're going to have to, because, you know, if it's going to be wide scale and everyone knows what's going on, listen, this star's got enemies, do you know what I mean? We've all got enemies, especially fucking me and our kids. We've got every enemies, and they know we're going to be there, obviously, because why wouldn't we be? So we've got to think of the family and protection, right? So I'm saying to him, well, what do you reckon we do then? He's gone, well, we'll get the lads from the door, and they're going to want to come anyway. He said, but they can just be in work, you know, all the lads who are on the door in the clubs and all that. I'm like, yeah, sounds. He's like, because they didn't even know him, lad. He said, but they'll go there out of respect, but they'll just be dressed in black and they'll all be armed. I'm like, all right, sounds. He's like, well, where do you reckon the SEM's going to be? I said, I don't know where the SEM's going to be. So I told him, he's like, all right. He said, get it up on Google Maps, lad. And I'm like, yeah. I said, what for? He said, just to have a look at it strategically. So I'm like, all right, sounds. I will. Pulls the map up and all that, and we've got the vantage points right now. We don't know exactly where the plot's going to be, but it's probably going to be in the war heroes plot, isn't it? Which is a separate section, do you know what I mean? You can tell because the tombstones and all that. So I'm like, yeah, well, let's just presume we're going to be here. But there's no way we're not going to be there. He's going to want to be buried where all his mates are, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, there's no way he's not. So that's where he's going to be. He's going to be somewhere here, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Within this big square. Now, where the cars are, you know, if we're rolling up in 50 cars heavy, it's going to take the whole path up from there to there. He's like, yeah. I said, so you got to watch out for the back. I said, we need people in the back. I said, so get the last car with some of the lads in arms. And we can't really have the front car because it goes in order of family, do you know what I mean? So when the cars stop, we're going to need them to jump out and run to the front, yeah, before anyone gets out the car. And he's like, yeah. So we've just set this big plan up and all that. And you've got to seriously think about this, you know, mate. If someone's coming to get us, this is where they're going to get us because they know where we're going to be and at what time, roughly, do you know what I mean? You know, you don't need someone to tailor funeral cars. There they are. You know, they're on phones. Listen, we're here, he is ready, yeah. You know, it could be easily done, mate. And listen to me now, you know, if anyone makes a move on us in this funeral, right, it'll be the fucking last thing they do. Believe you me, listen, we will nap them and keep them for weeks, yeah, and that's a guarantee, that's a promise, right? So I'm starting to get a bad feeling about it because I'm thinking about this now. And I'm thinking about it, you know what I mean? Because there is loads of people who'd love to see me go night-night, and our kids and the dad and everyone in there. It's going to be a proper heavy squad. You know, all the people who are going to be there. And all the people who are going to be there is connections. They've got fucking heavy frames on their case, do you know what I mean? So it mightn't even be someone comes for us. They might be coming for one of them. Do you know, it could be anywhere from anyone at any time. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. You know, the probability is something's going to happen more than it's not going to happen. Do you see what I mean? So I've got that in my head now, no way am I telling Lindsay this, but she's not stupid, and the dad's not stupid, so the dad's probably already on there anyway. So he does what we're doing, gets back, goes in the house, says the dad, here a section me and that kid, and we just pull it on him, and he's going, yeah, I know. He said, I'm already on it. He said, well, what we're going to do is this, that. I'm like, yeah, sounds like, well, what we've sorted is we've got all these lads. He's like, well, good idea. He said, that was good, that lads, well done. And he said, but what about the funeral cars? He said, well, I don't want no one in the funeral cars, right? I don't want anyone who's not coming to the funeral, who's not in a funeral car. So what I've done is I've got a few of the lads who are going to be in cars in front and behind. Perfect, you know what I mean? Because I didn't really, I was trying to respect his wishes where he wants everyone in funeral cars, but he's already one little step ahead on that because he's going to have people going in the front and he's going to have people at the SEM before the funeral even goes there. Do you see what I mean? So at the church, he's going to have people in the SEM looking around and making sure, you know, there's no like improvised devices anywhere because shit like that goes on, you know, especially with a calibre of this family like this and everyone in it, mate. So we're like, all right, sounds so security, it's got to be set and all that, it's just got to be set. Goes back in the outhouse and now night's coming now, so I'm having me tea with Lindsay and all that, our kids, these bails and all that. So I'm like, yeah, she's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm just going to have an early night, mate. I want to be in bed by about 10, 11 o'clock. She's like, all right, son. So just has a little brandy and that, just no lemon, not like that. Has a little joint, goes to bed early, gets up in the morning, and my dad's like, he's coming home today. I said, what time? He said, 4 o'clock tonight, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, is he? Yeah. I said, all right, sound. So, you know, let's see what happens there. But it's going to be tough watching this, mate, right now. What I want to say is right now, you can take this how you will, take this how you want, but just watch these next couple of seconds for us, right? And I want to just say, right, a big, massive shout and respect to Pops, yeah. Gone, but never forgotten, lads, yeah. You're who made me who I am today. You gave me the morals and just like the knowledge and the advice to shape me into who I am now, yeah. And without all that, I would have been a totally different person now, and so was our kid, right? Take that how you want, right? But big shout to Pops, yeah. Fucking love you, mate. And there's not a day that goes past that your knowledge or advice doesn't like affect me in some way and make me choose the best decision to make when it comes to a part of it. So thanks for that, Pops, yeah. Fucking love you, lads. Love you, lads.